My name is Adam, and I'll be your flight attendant today. You're on Mythbusters.
Is the brace position intended to save you
Really bad
or kill you? And
I have a sneaking suspicion that I'm a really, really bad driver.
is driving and chatting
Could you repeat that again?
just as dangerous as
Officer, would you have me a beer?
driving under the influence? Who are the Mythbusters? Adam Savage
I reject your reality and substitute my own.
and Jamie Heineman.
I kind of like it in here. It's private.
Between them, more than 30 years special effects experience.
That was intense.
They don't just tell the myths, they put them to the test.
Guys, I got a good one. While flying this weekend, I actually heard a really interesting myth while I was reading my emergency safety card. The guy next to me claims, conspiracy theory style, that the brace positions that you have to get into on the commercial airlines when you're crashing into land or water are actually to kill you. It's so that when you're crashing, your neck will instantly break because it's actually cheaper to pay out for a wrongful death suit than years and years of rehabilitation.
That's a good one, Carrie.
And we get to destroy another aircraft.
As much fun as that would be, I'm not sure it's really feasible for this. I mean, we need to do several experiments, and destroying a full-size plane, we're only going to get one test, if that. So, I mean, do you have a plan for a repeatable rig?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think we need something controllable. So, we could just do mini experiments, one with the brace position, of course, Buster, one without the brace position, and just see if we can knock his head off.
See if there's a real difference between the brace position and sitting regularly. And what about business class? Are you any safer when you spend that extra dough?
And then there are those backwards-facing seats that the flight attendants use. What about those?
Exactly.
To get to the bottom of this myth, the team's going to have to lay their bodies on the line. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. First, they're going to need 3 different types of airplane seats. It's back to the old Mythbusters standby for airline parts. Interface Aviation.
It just keeps going and going.
Last time the team was here, they picked up an in-flight toilet for their vacuum test. Boy, did that suck. And the Mythbuster maturity continues.
Yeah! These work. They really work. Who would have thought?
Nice, Tori. Let's remember why you're here.
Got quite a fun shopping list. I think we need 5 rows of the economy seats.
1 row of 2-seaters for the first class.
Is this the first time you've ever been in first class?
Man,
Me too.
that's a good life.
And the final item on their list, a flight attendant's rear-facing seat.
Cool. This is gonna be perfect. Happy? Think we got everything?
I'm very happy.
This is gonna be good. We got some good stuff here, for sure.
We got a lot of work to do, so we should head back to the shop.
Although air travel is one of the safest forms of transportation, every year in the U.S., an average of 120 people are killed and 350 seriously injured in commercial airline crashes.
Well, right off the bat, our researchers have found that there actually is an element of truth to this story.
Oh, yeah. Well, it turns out that it is, in fact, cheaper for the airlines to pay out a wrongful death settlement than it is to pay someone who's been injured over the course of their lifetime. Wrongful death settlements pay out at between around $3 and $5 million an occurrence, whereas depending on the severity of the injuries, for a lifetime of rehabilitation, the airlines may pay out between 8 and 10 and sometimes up to $50 million.
Wow.
You have Buster's whole family here.
To assure passengers the safest flight possible, engineer Richard DeWeese of the FAA Civil Aerospace Medical Institute conducts extensive testing on the crashworthiness of airline seats and their effects on passengers.
So cool.
Carrie popped into his office in Oklahoma City to see how it's done.
Wow.
Where we do all of our testing. And of course, down the middle of the area is our test track. This is our test sled. Essentially, it's a rolling platform. We hook this cable up to the front, then we can pull it back with a winch and control its speed. The further back we pull it, the faster it's going to be going when it gets here. Test scenario is a 35 feet per second velocity change at 14 Gs. And we get to that 14 G peak in only 80 milliseconds.
Wow.
And from, of course, the test dummy, we're going to be gathering things that tell us whether or not the person would have been injured by the readings we get from him.
Okay, so this rig may be a bit outside the build team's scope, but Tori's got a plan, and it's on the cheap.
Well, we don't have the hydraulic rams that they use at the FAA. So we're gonna have to come up with a new experiment to test this. One thing we could do is basically we'll build a gantry, put the seats on it, we'll get a crane and vertically drop it. All we have to get is 35 feet per second. And you know, for 1 second, if we drop it for 1 second, we're gonna get some serious G-forces. My number one concern was that this thing has got to be super strong. We went with 2-inch square tubing and then triangulated the heck out of this thing. The whole gantry is at a 30-degree angle, which is to specs to the FAA's crash tests that they do.
But before they take to the skies, their next myth has them hitting the road. Come on, admit it. You know you do it. Talk on the cell phone while driving. And deep down, you know it's dangerous. But is it as dangerous as that other driving taboo?
Here comes another one. The myth is that it is just as dangerous to drive while talking on a cell phone as it is while driving drunk.
Well, obviously, you know, while you're dialing, your eyes are not on the road, but what we really need to pinpoint is whether the conversation itself is dangerous.
Yes.
Yeah, people seem to be under the impression that if you're at a stoplight, it might be okay to dial because you're not moving, but then it's okay to talk once you actually get moving. And that's the key thing about this myth. Is it, in fact, safe to talk on a cell phone while you're driving?
That's what we're going to test.
They're off to the Russell Racing School at Infineon Raceway in Napa, California.
The plan we've got today is that both Carrie and I are the test subjects. We're actually going to do the Russell Racing School course here. They've got several different driving skills to test on us.
First, they'll each run a control lap, sober and cell phone free, to get acquainted with the course. Then they'll navigate the course again, only this time while Jamie distracts them with a cell phone call.
What? I can't hear that.
Finally, they'll knock back a few cold ones, take a police-administered breathalyzer test, and then climb back behind the wheel for their last lap.
Oh, man.
This is a tough one because I do notice on occasion talking on a cell phone that it's easy to zone out. Whether that's equivalent to driving while drunk, which I've never done, I have no idea.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines. Carrie and Adam are about to test the myth that driving with a cell phone is just as dangerous as driving drunk.
Once again, going to humiliate myself in front of a very large audience.
But before they attempt the skills course impaired, they'll each try a control run first, sober and cell phone free.
Hey, how you doing? I'm Jamie. Mark Wallachachuk. Hi, Mark.
Mark Wallachatiuk, chief instructor for the Russell Racing School, takes them both through the route.
I'm ready.
Go.
Are you ready?
Go.
First challenge, accelerating to 30 miles per hour and stopping at the sign.
If you don't get to 30, you're going to fail that part of it. If you don't stop at the stop sign, you're going to fail that part of it. Of course, nobody stops like this, do they?
I don't.
Apparently, neither does Adam.
You can't go into the other lane. Go straight
Then
back.
there's everybody's favorite, parallel parking.
Oh, man.
Just ran into a lady to get lined up in the cross.
Oh,
Darn.
I still can't park.
The time trial comes next.
Your job is to average 15 miles an hour through the whole course. So if you go too fast or too slow, then you're going to fail that part of it.
And now the time.
Now the time. Easy to get going fast there.
Yeah.
And you got to be at least 10 miles an hour around here. You got it.
And for the piece de resistance, the Accident Avoidance Challenge.
You'll drive up at, say, 30 miles an hour. I'll say left, right, or center. You've got to make that lane change and then, you know, get through that particular lane change. All right, so now what we got to do without the brakes.
Without the brakes.
A little over 25, 27.
Okay.
Let's go. Okay. Left. Fail. We got to pull. And right. Oh, good. Oh, I made it.
Kind of takes you back to those driver ed days, doesn't it?
How did I do?
Well, that's pretty good. We're a little quick for what we call the road drive. You're very good at the parking. Every time you turn, I'm going to want to see checking both sides and signaling.
For the whole test?
Yeah, even.
Okay.
So that's a pass. It's all good.
And Carrie?
I have a sneaking suspicion that I'm a really, really bad driver.
That wasn't bad. You need to practice your parking, which not many people do. But so I failed you on that. The rest of it, you did actually very good in the accident avoidance part. That was really close. That was good. So overall, you passed.
Yeah, but the real fun's still to come.
I suspect that driving while talking on the cell phone is going to cause more impairment than any of us really imagined.
I think the cell phone's gonna be murder. There's absolutely no way. I'm trying all my concentration just to remember what I'm doing when I'm driving on this and where the roads are.
Back at the shop, the framework for Tori's Mythbust airplane is nearly complete. They'll have Buster testing the validity of the brace position in no time.
Fingers and toes.
What I have to do next, I have to cover this whole thing with plywood, and that's going to be the theoretical airplane floor. I'll lay the tracks on, and then I'll start putting on the airplane seats.
Careful there, Tori. You remember what happened the last time you went stunt riding.
I'm okay.
It's easy to break bones when they're real, but when it comes to Buster's bones, well, that's a bit trickier.
For this myth, we need Buster's broken bones to explain to us what's going to happen in the brace position to the human body.
So we just basically want to do some fact checking to make sure that Buster is up for the test and he will give us some real data. We want to make sure that he is as much like a human as possible.
To retrofit Buster's aluminum frame with the most realistic bones possible, the build team tests the strength of different materials. First, animal bones as the control.
Yep.
Then wood,
Green fiberglass.
acrylic, PVC, and carbon epoxy tubing to see which would break most like a real bone. I think you found your match, Carrie.
Look at that. It's broken, but it's not shattered. It's perfect. Both carbon epoxy tubing and lamb bone broke at a 120-pound dynamic load. So this is what we're using. If this material breaks inside Buster on our crash test experiment, we can pretty much assume that a human bone would break. I know it's not perfect, but this is the closest that we're gonna get to a good calibration.
Don't look so glum, Buster. You won't be crashing alone.
More dummies to kill, huh?
Wow. My God, it's like an embarrassment of riches. After all those times of destroying Buster, I haven't seen a clean dummy in a long time.
Meet Buster's nuclear family.
Wow. Look at Dad.
Dad's buff.
I think Dad's molded off the Heinemann model.
These are what are known as simulades. While they are the correct weight, it's not distributed correctly.
These guys are just to round out passenger seating around Buster. He's still our main test subject.
They're dummies.
You know, it's amazing after all this time to finally expand the Mythbusters abuse family. I mean, I know you can't take the same kind of damage that Buster takes, but I'm willing to try.
Oh, the abuse will come, all right. But right now, they're just victims of fashion.
Did she come with her bra?
We don't want to be indecent. This is a family show.
So where did we get the bra? Did you give her ears?
No.
Let's leave Carrie hanging and head outside to see how the gantry is coming along. Tori's moved it to the test site for some finishing touches. Seats.
Don't you think we should give the passengers a little bit more space?
No, I think we should cram them even closer together to save a buck or two, you know? Don't waste that fuel. More passengers, more money. That's why airlines go broke, because they give people too much room already.
You are a sweet guy.
Mythbust Air is ready for takeoff. Now it just needs its final passenger.
Well, I guess the next big problem is the age-old Mythbusters problem of determining what happens to Buster. He can't talk to us, but we need to know if he's injured, if he's dead,
Right.
and if there's a difference between sitting in the brace position or sitting normally.
Well, it seems that maybe the neck would be a good thing to know if it could break. Right now, he doesn't have any way of indicating to us that he's got a broken neck. If you are in an airline crash and your head is coming towards the seat in front of you, you're going to crash in and your neck is going to bend like this while the rest of your body continues on.
This is known as extension. But Buster's neck is fixed and therefore won't bend like a human's. Leave it to Mr. Fix-It to crack this quandary.
What this means for Buster is I've got to make a neck that replaces this one. So I'm going to machine the neck, this piece. I got a couple hinges from the hardware store so it can move, and it actually move pretty far back.
And Grant's added a series of springs to simulate the muscles in the neck that would normally resist force applied to the forehead. But getting the neck to bend is only half the solution. Grant also needs to be able to determine the amount of injury the neck sustains during the crash. He'll do so by calibrating the neck's angle of deflection, or how far it bends backwards. Simply put, he'll hang a series of weights from the back of Buster's head to make it bend.
Here's 150 pounds I prepared earlier.
Then measure the resistance to Buster's neck through a potentiometer, which sends a signal to the ohmmeter. The higher the kilo ohms, the greater the damage. First, they record the resistance on the neck with no load attached to establish a baseline.
Okay, so starting out, we've got
4.29.
Okay, 4.29. You ready?
Yeah.
I'm just going to lower it down. Here we go.
Then they increase the weight to measure the angle of deflection.
Great. Okay, so what do you got?
6.2.
6.2K. So that is serious neck injury.
That's fantastic. It's perfect Mythbuster solution. I'm really pleased. Thank you,
Great.
man.
Thanks.
Now we got to get his face back on there.
Not so fast. Grant's got one more gizmo for Buster's head, an accelerometer to measure the force Buster's brain will sustain upon impact. But Grant also hopes to measure the force of impact to other parts of Buster's body. So he's covering Buster's torso with Shock Watch stickers.
What you do is you buy this off the shelf, stick it on your package, and it'll tell you if you've exceeded the G-load.
So it keeps your shipping agent accountable.
If the capsule inside the patch breaks and turns red, you know you've exceeded your specified G-load.
I've got 50, 75, and 100 Gs. Conveniently, these three sizes correspond to thresholds of human injury. 50 Gs would correspond to the threshold of injury for the entire body in a frontal impact.
Meaning that anything under that, and you might possibly survive it.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Without serious injury. 75 would be for a rear impact, again for the whole body threshold of injury. And 100 corresponds to inside of the head, your brain actually bouncing around.
That's all great, but how do they work?
All right, so I just stick this on.
That's it.
Like
There's
beer-
your package.
Beer can equals person.
Yep.
All right.
Okay. A little bit higher. Not quite 50 Gs.
Going a little bit higher. I'm going to actually chuck it. Ready?
Okay.
Yeah, I can see it's red from here. That's perfect.
Red means you're dead.
If it works this well on a beer can, they can't wait to see how it works on Buster.
That's perfect, Grant. I'm totally psyched about that.
Are you frightened?
It's round 2 of Adam and Carrie's driving test. They've already passed the control run, so it's time to break out the cell phones and try a more distracted lap.
Okay, for the cell phone test, I'll be off on the sidelines talking into a cell phone and delivering 3 different types of tasks to the driver in the car. The first one is repeat the sentence. They just have to repeat what I've said. The second one is a verbal puzzle. They have to actually think about what their answer is going to be. And then the third one is a monologue where they have to list 5 different things about some particular subject that I'll give them. There's no doubt in my mind that their driving performance is going to be significantly reduced.
I'm a little nervous about it. I don't think I'm gonna do very well on this one.
Okay, go. All right, if I say Jack stole Ann's ball, who's the thief?
That would be, Jack.
Jack.
Okay, repeat the sentence. The driver was stopped for driving 67 miles per hour in a 20 mile per hour zone.
Driver will stop the driving in a 15 mile per hour zone. I did it?
No, you missed it.
The driver was driving 67 miles per hour in a 20 mile per hour zone.
Okay, give me 5 things that are in the interior of your car.
5 things in the interior of my car would be the steering wheel,
Stopwatch,
the rear view mirror,
the pad of paper,
the seat, the seatbelt,
charger,
and the speedometer.
Driving this course was insane trying to talk on the cell phone. You could not pay attention to both at the same time.
If you see a picture with a diamond, a rectangle, and a circle, and the circle is to the right of the rectangle and directly above the diamond, is the rectangle right above the diamond?
I have no idea. Rectangle.
Could you repeat that again?
Which girl is taller if Jane is shorter than Kim?
Kim is taller.
Kim is taller.
Give me 5 things that are part of your daily work or activities.
Kissing ass.
Drilling and tapping.
Doing my hair.
Doing on-camera PMCs.
And, yoga.
Making phone calls.
And, oh man, driving to work.
Checking my email. And avoiding phone calls from certain people.
And,
Here they come racing to the finish line. And the winner is...
Oh! That was awful. That was absolutely awful.
We actually gave her a fail for the overall course. There was one time there where she was trying to maneuver the wheel and she got very creative, kind of held the wheel with her elbow.
Yeah, not to mention you failed over half the course's obstacles. And Adam?
He did end up failing. He failed half of the elements.
That makes the Mythbusters 0 for 2.
There are a ton of studies and a lot of conflicting data about how much talking on a cell phone actually affects your driving.
Yeah, one study actually showed that a simple conversation wouldn't affect driving at all.
Yeah, but a British study did extensive testing with things like memory tests, reasoning, and mental arithmetic, and found that it did heavily affect your ability to drive. And that was the first study to actually compare it to a benchmark of something we know is dangerous, which is driving under the influence of alcohol. It's time to start drinking.
As dangerous as driving drunk? Well, only one way to find out for sure. Carrie and Adam are trying to determine if driving while on a cell phone is just as dangerous as driving drunk. They've already failed the skills course while chatting away. Now they'll try again after putting a few beers away. To feel the effects of the booze quicker, they've fasted since last night.
I'm not really looking forward to a drink. I haven't eaten since I woke up. I've got a kind of hunger headache. It's a hot day out here, and I expect it's going to get me pretty toasty.
But not too toasty. The catch is they need to ensure their blood alcohol ratio remains below 0.08, the legal limit for operating a motor vehicle in California, or the experiment will be called off. So they've called in a few of San Rafael's finest to administer breathalyzers 15 minutes after every beer down.
Okay, start drinking now.
Cheers. Cheers. Yeah, it's a tough job, but someone's got to do it. Cheers.
I'm actually surprised that I'm a little cockeyed. One beer, empty stomach.
And apparently, Carrie's not the only one.
You're going to fart on camera to prove that women actually do occasionally.
I'm so not going to do that. If my boyfriend finds out I fart, he might leave me.
What I need you to do is just put your mouth over this tube here and blow.
One beer and 15 minutes later, Carrie's ready for the test.
Okay.
Slow or hard?
Yeah, I'll hold on to this. Hard. Okay. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Go, 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 go. Okay. Okay. There you are right there. 0.038.
Halfway there.
That means I get another beer? Officer, would you have me a beer?
You're next, Adam.
Go, 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 go. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Go, go, go. There.
I bet I need another beer.
Oh!
0.027. 0.027. It sounds like I have a lot more to drink.
Now there's something you don't hear every day.
Keep going, keep going, keep going.
Closer, but you can go higher, Carrie.
What do you say she completes the other half beer and
It's not even half, it's like a third.
051. 051. I think I need another beer. Here we go.
Let's hope Carrie's second beer's a charm.
There you go. 075.
That's
You're
it.
Right there. Beautiful.
All right, can't get any more. 075.
And Adam's third tips the scales.
07. 07. All right.
Good. All right.
Let's try with 07.
They're rock. Now it's time to roll. It's finally time to test the aircraft killer brace position, and Adam's singing with excitement.
Buster and part of his extended family are going to be joining him on this drop. This first test, Buster's going to be sitting upright, not in the brace position. This is the, the control, and Grant is actually setting up the accelerometer in Buster's head. He's already got his broken neck rig, and we're just going to see if there's any difference between this and the brace position. We're dropping him from 15 feet. That should give us the absolutely FAA spec speed of 35 feet per second. Should be between 30 and 40 Gs of impact, and well, I think all hell's gonna break this. This is gonna be an absolute horror show.
That all looks really good.
Wow. That seems really high.
You're good to go.
And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
That was a perfect drop.
Easy for you to say, Adam. You weren't on board.
It was quite an impact. It, really kind of made the whole concrete area here shudder. That's 1,000 pounds. It's really solid.
All the seats are trashed.
Wow. It was well balanced. It hit hard. I'm amazed.
So was it a regulation drop?
Oh, that is.
Check out the replay.
We met the FAA guidelines for a crash test perfectly. It couldn't have gone any better. I mean, we had a 41 feet per second, 54 millisecond collision time, and 21 Gs subjected to the frame. It's perfectly within the guidelines, so I'm feeling really good about this test, and I think it's extremely valid.
Let's see what Buster has to tell us.
Do you want to check his chest meters?
I would love to.
What do you got?
Hoo-hoo. Not even the 50.
That means Buster's body withstood less than 50 G's of force on impact, meaning his body weathered the crash.
Probably the seat cushion absorbed a lot of that shock.
But what about his head?
What did your meter read, the accelerometer?
The accelerometer gave me 56.4 G, so no serious head injury there.
It takes a minimum of 100 G's to the head to sustain major trauma. So Buster will live, but he's going to have one major headache.
Check out this tray table here.
So what was the neck injury?
So the neck injury, the meter read 4.67 K, which isn't even close to our threshold for serious neck injury of 6.7 K.
That means Buster's neck didn't bend back far enough to indicate significant damage on the ohmmeter.
I tell you, it's pretty much a real testament to how these seats are built, that with a fall like that, the seats collapsing all around you, there may be some broken legs, but all of these passengers would have survived this fall.
Absolutely.
It's pretty amazing. Everything we have says this is a survivable type of drop. So, very next thing to do is to pull Buster down off this rig, reset him for test number 2, which is the brace position test. And in fact, in resetting this rig, we have to pretty much rebuild the whole thing to test it twice.
Well, here's one serious injury.
All things considered, that's not so bad, right? Wrong.
You'd definitely not be able to make your way to the safety exit with a broken femur. Only 20% of people die on impact in an airplane crash. 80% survive, and I think we've shown that. The rest die from smoke inhalation and fire damage.
So
it's not being able to get out of your seat that will kill you.
Okay.
Well, maybe the brace position will spare Buster that trauma.
We're gonna see if we have any difference between the brace and the non-brace position. The brace position that we're testing, basically in economy, you don't have the same room that you do in the business class. Business class has the best position, which would be down, holding on to your knees, flat down. But since economy, the seats are a little close together, you're gonna be holding on to the back of the seat and dispersing the G-force basically on the seat instead of on your neck.
So how do you get a dummy to assume the position?
We're tying hands and heads down so that way when we drop the gantry, it keeps it in its brace position. Definitely not going to affect the test because once this gantry hits the ground, it's going to break the strength.
All right, you can take it up.
And what goes up
3, 2, 1.
must come down. Time to check Buster's gauges again.
None of them tripped on his chest.
Yeah, but how's the damage to Buster's head look?
The accelerometer has only 34 Gs to the head, so it didn't even trip a major event.
That's nearly 20 G's of force less to Buster's head than when he sat unbraced. And the gauge in his neck measured less deflection as well, meaning it didn't even come close to breaking.
So while this looks really bad, like a huge amount of carnage, it's actually, as far as injury goes, not that bad.
So when sitting in economy, the brace position may literally save your neck. But probably not your legs.
It's a pretty consistent injury, the broken femur.
I mean, even if you did survive, you're stuck in these chairs. That can't be good.
The damage that the chairs take is damage that's not being transferred to your body. It's like in a motorcycle accident, you want to see a crack in your motorcycle helmet because it meant it took all that force away from your head. It's the same thing here. Amazingly, this drop supports our primary thesis and all of the data we've collected so far. And that is that not only is the brace position not designed to kill you outright, but it is the safest position to get yourself into in the event of a collision or an air crash.
So, busted in the cheap seats. But first class is up next.
Jamie, you ready?
Buster's back and ready for another brace position crash. But no more cheap seats for him.
He had a few too many to drink.
This time he's flying first class. Sure, wider seats and plenty of legroom makes the flight more comfortable than coach.
Like in first class.
But does it make it safer?
You can actually get all the way down on your knees and grab your ankles. So, we want to pull his legs back.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Watching something plummet to the ground never grows old.
Wow.
The seats look like they stood up better than the economy seats.
Yeah, but how about the passenger?
We lost a leg.
Okay, so at first glance, maybe more leg room isn't such a bonus.
Check it
Whoa,
out.
dude.
2 places. Here
We got a
and
broken
here.
femur and tibia fibula.
But how'd the rest of Buster's body fare? The G-force accelerometers on his body look good.
Checked them and none of them were set off.
So we didn't get above 50 on the chest.
No.
No deflection.
And the head accelerometer reads 43 Gs, nearly the same force achieved when Buster assumed the brace position in economy.
Because you had no seat in front of you, he went all the way and bonked his head on the ground, practically.
Yeah.
But I think some of it is because he can bend a little more flexibly than people who are not yogic masters. So still not enough to reach the threshold of serious head damage. But it's a bonk on the head.
It is a bump on the head, yeah, but not serious head injury.
2 aspirin ought to take away that headache, assuming Buster didn't break his neck.
Grant, what'd you get on the neck potentiometer?
I had almost no deflection, 4.43K. So,
Serious injury?
no, not even close. There's no serious neck injury at all. I think it's because there's no seat back in front of him that he's hitting his head on and pushing the neck
He
back.
might have gotten a bang, but it wasn't a neck snapping bang.
I mean, you might not have head or neck trauma, but you wouldn't be able to make it to the exit.
Well, and again, that supports the data that we have.
Break your leg, you can't get out of the plane.
All right, cool. Let's set up for the next test.
So overall, Buster fared slightly better when assuming the brace position in first class than when in economy. He's going to have some aches and pains, but at least he lived. For their final drop, the team's going to test the only seat on the plane facing in the opposite direction, the flight attendant seat.
Buster's never been a flight attendant before. It's very exciting for you, career change.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Adam, and I'll be your flight attendant today. On behalf of our San Francisco-based flight crew here on Mythbust Air, we welcome you to your flight. That flight's going to be about 40 to 80 milliseconds, and it might be a sharp bump at the bottom, but rest assured there's people here that can put you back together.
3, 2, 1.
All right. It's almost no change at all.
The voltmeter indicated that Buster's neck hardly moved.
There's almost no deflection, and that's because the head was fully supported by that back seat rest. The possibility of neck injury was greatly minimized. I'm gonna get the data out of his head recorder. I got a peak of 87.4 Gs.
You can see it in the high speed. His whole body bent forward, but there wasn't a huge whiplash kind of crack.
87 Gs. That's nearly twice the amount of force sustained in either the economy or first class drop tests, braced or unbraced. And the accelerometers on the chest aren't painting a pretty picture either.
We tripped the 50 G meter.
Really?
Yeah.
So is flying rear-facing really safer than flying the conventional way? Dr. John Paul Strapp believed so. Dr. Strapp's crash survival research program proved that humans can in fact sustain much higher G-forces in the backwards-facing position, topping out at a peak load of 85 Gs. But engineer Richard DeWeese isn't quite ready to turn all the airline seats around just yet.
While a rear-facing seat will spread the loads out better during a forward impact, it also has you facing rearward, and all that flying debris is now coming at you. A well-designed rear-facing seat, there's nothing wrong with it, but a forward-facing one can be just as safe as if it's designed as well.
Let's hope so, because the next drop has the Mythbusters putting themselves on the line. It's round 3 of the cell phone versus drunk driving test. And Carrie and Adam are fueled up and ready to go. They've already passed the control run, but failed the course while talking on the phone. Now they've consumed just enough alcohol, and on empty stomachs no less, to remain below the legal limit while driving the course a third time.
065. 065.
Oh my God, you're getting in my car?
And once again, the instructor puts his life on the line to grade their performances.
Being the fact that we're only going to potentially knock over a few cones, I'm just fine.
Let's hope Carrie's driving isn't that bad.
And go.
First obstacle, the brake test. That's a stop sign, Carrie. Slow down. Stop!
We did go past the stop sign here right off the bat by about 4 or 5 feet, so we ended up in the crosswalk.
Not a promising start. And parallel parking is up next.
Actually, I gave her the parking. It was one of her best efforts. It was marginally good.
Here comes the road timing test. Remember, it's got to be done in 45 seconds. Uh-oh, 30 seconds. That's going to cost you. Hope you do better on the accident avoidance test.
We pretty much killed a couple cones over in the accident avoidance.
Or maybe not.
I also think I took out a few cones.
A few cones? You blew away half the obstacles, Carrie. That's what's known as a failure.
Can we stop using the word failure and just be like, I didn't succeed? I am feeling a little bit tired and tipsy, and I'm definitely done with this experiment because I don't usually drink beers during the day in the sun. So all I want to do is go to sleep now and maybe eat something. No, I'm done with my...
Go ahead, Carrie. Indulge. You've earned it.
I'm gonna eat pizza in a minute. That's all I really care about.
You'll get your reward soon enough, Adam.
And go.
Assuming you can ever park.
Well, we saw the parking, so that was a little off. There was a couple times that I reminded him to look both ways, and I gave him kind of a half fail on that.
He's coming down the home stretch. Just one challenge left.
The only thing with the accident avoidance, he did do it, but he kind of slowed down through the whole thing.
It's not looking good, Adam. Like Carrie, you failed nearly half the course.
2.5 fails, I guess.
So you just like kind of suck?
I don't kind of suck. I mean, I was definitely impaired enough that, you know, it's the sort of impaired you want to keep people off the road at that level.
That's right. Not only is drinking and driving not smart, it's illegal and very dangerous. So, what's the final word?
Clearly the results show that talking on the cell phone while driving is potentially as dangerous as driving drunk.
I mean, we failed both the cell phone and the drunk driving tests, but we failed the cell phone test by a much bigger margin. However, all that being said, I still think that you can always put down the cell phone if something's happening that you've got to deal with. You can't exactly, so at least I can't exactly just stop being drunk.
So what do you reckon? Confirmed, busted, or plausible?
It's absolutely confirmed.
I agree, confirmed.
I'm a little shocked.
Mythbust Air is ready for its final takeoff and crash landing. Only this time, they're testing the brace position with a different set of dummies.
We're about to do the Mythbusters Body on the Line test of what it's like to drop from a height while sitting in airline seats. And then we're going to strap ourselves in and go for a very short ride. The potential for injury if we did this improperly is fairly high, so we're going to do it in a very safe and controlled manner, only from about 5 feet. Our calculations say we shouldn't pull any more than about 3 Gs.
But just in case, they'll wear shock stickers to see if their fall surpasses 50 Gs.
This is a source of all my special powers.
There we go. You seatbelt it in? This is just...
Don't tense up your arms.
What's the worst thing that can happen to me? I don't know, break my neck. Buster broke 2 femurs in every single test we did, but we were dropping him from 15 feet. We're only dropping from 5, which it doesn't look that high. It does look high, but it's not.
Hey. Let's raise it up.
I got a really bad feeling about it.
I promised my mom I wouldn't do anything dumb and unsafe again.
Was that?
Well, it looks like you didn't keep your promise.
It's like, let's get it going.
Looks a little high, but I think you guys are in good shape. I would be right up there with you if it wasn't for that prior back injury and the insurance people.
Right.
Let's do it before I change my mind.
In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I smashed my head into the seat. That felt terrible.
My head's fine. My glasses are broken. I banged my knee into the chair in front of me.
Yeah.
How's your knee?
Yeah, it's all right.
Any broken bones?
Not too bad.
No, but yeah, I'm good.
You all right?
Yeah.
Okay,
My
the good
shins
news
kinda
is
hurt.
your seat absorbed a huge amount of energy. I mean, it's collapsed here.
Really?
So that's a good sign, because that energy would have been going into your spine.
I feel like I need a drink.
Yeah, a little shaky.
Really? But it seemed like such a good idea at the time.
Oh my God!
Smacked my knee into the front of the chair.
That's gonna be a bruise.
Oh. Hey, but you didn't break any bones.
I would like to say I'm sorry to you, Mom and Dad. I don't know. I'm a little stupid. Took the wire out of my bra. Pop the wire straight out of her brassiere. Holy moly!
Can I get a close up there?
No, that's one close up we don't need.
Given the fact that we were at a 30-degree angle, the brace position probably kept all of us from having some type of head trauma, because there's not a lot of holding yourself back with that kind of force. Even with those like 3 or 4 Gs or whatever we were pulling, we would not have been able to hold our heads back. So I'm glad we had our heads like that. The worst thing was banging into the seat in front of me, and that really made it clear why you don't want your legs, why you don't want your feet under the seat ahead of you.
The brace position definitely felt good. I felt like it took all of the energy and put it into the seat instead of my neck and head.
So it was like that initial punch hurt, but I mean, you know, I'd go higher.
The brace for impact position is definitely the position you want to get in if you have a chance to. Our tests have shown it that it's at least 3 times safer than sitting upright and striking the seat.
All right, everybody. Well, we thank you for flying Midbust Air, and on behalf of our San Francisco-based flight crew, Tori, Carrie, and Adam, we know you have a choice of airlines, and we're glad you chose us.
So the myth that the brace position in an airline crash is designed to kill you, what did we get?
What were the final tally of numbers, Grant?
Well, what we found was in the economy class that braced is definitely safer than unbraced. And the first class is safer still than economy class. And finally, the stewardess, the flight attendant seat was the safest of all, sustaining up to 80 Gs of damage and almost 0 neck deflection.
Well, and the other great success we had on this is we've added to the Mythbusters family. We've got 3 new test dummies to abuse, and I think they've already performed admirably. I think they already show the scuff marks of some real Mythbusters service.
So what do you guys think? Plausible, confirmed, or busted?
This one's totally busted.
Busted.